Okay, so we're going. I was going to see if Prince Ludwig was going to come through. I might bring him in here for comment in a minute. Okay, so what I want to talk about is Donald Trump. Okay, so if you recall, when Donald Trump was running for president, he said he was going to make America great again. He said, it's rigged, folks. In other words, politics was rigged. And what else did he say? He said he was going to drain the swamp. He made fun of all of the Republicans that were running against him. Every one of them, he made fun of them. And then we have this QAnon thing. And if you haven't heard of QAnon, you must be not a political junkie, because it is... the story was that there were a bunch of American patriots, very wealthy American patriots, who wanted their country back. From who... this is the problem with the whole QAnon story, because they're wealthy, very wealthy Americans who want their country back. From whom? Because these wealthy Americans have always run the United States of America. So it's, reading between the lines, it's a ploy by the rich to pretend to be taking down the rich. Why? Smart politics. In other words, if you can, in the olden days, they called these agents provocateurs. It's a French term, but it basically means if we don't have a rebellion against us, we're going to create one. Why? It keeps all of our operatives busy, and to really understand this, you need to read George Orwell's book 1984, because that was the way that the deep state, in other words, the ongoing state that runs between presidential administration to presidential administration, it's how they flush out the real rebels, the real people who are against them, by creating a phony rebellion, and then people who feel rebellious join this rebellion, which is all controlled by the state. And this basically, if you read between the lines of the QAnon phenomenon, that's what it is. It is the deep state setting up a phony rebellion to flush out a lot of people who are rebellious, to target them, and then to get a lot of dumb, really dumb people to think this is patriotism and that their world is going to get better. Disinformation, in other words, information that I tell you is true, it's from a reliable source, but it's a lie. Yeah, well, this disinformation, it keeps going. But anyway, if we take the straight story, wealthy patriots decided to choose Donald Trump to be the nominee for the Republican Party, to become the president, to carry out this ridiculous wag the dog scenario. Wag the Dog was a Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro movie made in 1997. You can watch this. You can rent it for about $5 on YouTube. If you don't know it, watch it. And then you will get a really good insight as to what's going on. It is using great amounts of money. They've got this money, it's no big deal, but it is an awful lot of money to set up this enormous amount of. It's like a real life Pokemon game. And they make countless conspiracy theories, and they put them all over the web in various places. And they have paid trolls, in other words, people paid to go on on the universe, to go on the internet and comment and link to these things. They have vast amounts of money. $1 billion is so much money. You can buy, you know, you can buy an online troll in the States for, let's say, $25,000 a year. And you, with $1 billion, you can get so many trolls. And they got way more than $1 billion. They've got so much money. But that's basically what it is. It's 1984. So when it comes to the pictures of Donald Trump standing at the White House, first with a podium in front of him with the Great Seal of the President of the United States, and two flags behind him, both American flags, but with gold fringe. It's gold fringe around the outside of the American flag, which signals, according to the sovereign citizen movement, it signals admiralty law or maritime law or Roman law. And they made a big conspiracy theory, and it goes like this. After the American Civil War in about 1865, they say that the republic, the constitutional republic of the United States, was suspended, and it was replaced by the corporate states of America. And the corporate states, every corporation has got a seal, so you know that they just buy a stamper that seals, and it belongs to, you have to be a senior manager to get a hold of the seal, and you can seal legal documents. It's because a corporation can't sign its own name because it's not human. It's a fictitious entity that is granted the rights of being able to contract with humans. There's an awful lot you need to know. But if that's what the seal is, the idea that it comes from corporations. And in this conspiracy theory, the American government is a phony baloney government, and Donald Trump, by removing the seal and putting just plain plate that says the White House, is signaling, oh, we're doing this QAnon save the world thing. And, they put those phony U.S. flags. Now, if you went back in time, did they always have these? No. He is playing this up. If you go back and look, I don't know, maybe go see if you can get video of, I don't know, maybe even George W. Bush standing at that podium, and look to see if those American flags have this fringe. I'll bet you they don't. This is them playing up this whole conspiracy theory. Donald Trump is an actor, and this whole thing is a big pull the wool over the eyes of gullible Americans, gullible people all over the world. Somebody wants to say gullible Bob. Why gullible Bob? Well, because am I gullible? I don't know the truth of it all. But this is the way they play the game. They've got so much money, they can have so many variations on a theme. And the theme is Pick a theme, and they've got variations on it. Pick a conspiracy theory, they got many variations on it, and many experts that will testify against one another so that you're baffled. What the hell is really going on? But if you read 1984 by George Orwell, that's what's going on. It's control of the population. In the end, that's all it is. It's control of the population. And I mean, there's so many other theories about everything has got various interpretations and various commentators that'll tell you this is what it's all about. Now I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to talk about... Yeah, it's my friend Ludwig of Bavaria. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the scale of human consciousness. Okay, this is the scale that was popularized by the American psychiatrist Dr. David R. Hawkins. And on this channel, we talk about Hawkins quite a bit. Hawkins was in tight. Oh, sorry, I gotta go back to this. Hawkins was in tight with Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, billionaire. He was in tight with Lee Iacocca, who was the chairman of Chrysler Corporation. They endorsed his first book, Power versus Force. He also had Mother Teresa of the Roman Catholic Church endorse it. Does it make it true? It's very interesting reading. Is it really true? It's very good reading. Okay, but one thing that Dr. Hawkins said in one of his lectures, I can't remember if it was a video or in a book, but he said that planet Earth is a purgatorial realm. Now, if you're not Roman Catholic, you may have heard purgatory, but you don't know what it means. And I'm not Catholic, so I'll do my best. But purgatory is a place you go to improve your character to make it fit for heaven. So Dr. Hawkins says planet Earth is a place where you have the opportunity to make the most changes to your character in a lifetime out of, well, there's different kinds of planets, different kinds of civilizations. And planet Earth is a purgatory because Dr. Hawkins says you have free will here and you have enormous opportunities. It's like snakes and ladders. The kids' game, Snakes and Ladders, you have enormous opportunities to take ladders to higher consciousness, and you have enormous numbers of snakes that you can slide down for great falls in consciousness. And the other thing Dr. Hawkins said, that the human mind is highly flawed because it cannot tell truth from falsehood. It cannot tell. You know, if someone lies to you, it's poker. Poker is a better example. Poker. If you're playing poker against your friends, you know people will bluff. And that's the nature of it. You can't tell if they're bluffing, if they're a good poker player. If they are, I mean, everyone knows that if you're playing cards, you have to look for tells, T-E-L-L. What is a tell? Well, I don't know if people actually have tells, but it's kind of, you know, the folklore of poker. But it might be every time somebody is bluffing, they start blinking more than normal. Is it true? A good poker probably films themselves. A good poker player probably films themselves and then studies what are my tells. Starts examining, do I have a tell? But it proves the point is that your mind cannot tell if someone is bluffing or not. And that's why we play poker, because we can't tell. And it's you can bluff. You can bluff, there's no doubt about it. And that's basically lying to people. And that just proves the human mind in of itself cannot tell truth from falsehood. So now the next thing that I'm going to change gears for is, okay, we're going to talk about the law of one, which is a channeled work supposed to come from extraterrestrials, and it talks about densities of consciousness, and various planets have different kinds of densities, and beings, incarnated people can be of different density. Earth, we are told, has been for a long time a third density planet. And if you're going to incarnate here on planet Earth, your mind is wiped of all your memories of previous incarnations, so that you get a fresh chance to learn something new, because you get a brand new personality and it is not influenced by previous incarnations, if you believe in this theory of reincarnation. And that's what they're talking about. And they say some people can be from higher densities, and in higher density places, if you go from one lifetime, then you reincarnate into a body and you remember your previous life. So that's what this planet Earth is all about. It's so even people who have graduated to higher densities, if they would need to come back to refine their soul, let's say, they come back to third density planet, purgatorial planet, where they don't remember who they were. In essence, they're brand new, and they get to interact with other humans and see what happens. Thank you, Ludwig. Okay, so what else do we want to know? What is the Great Awakening? If you follow Donald Trump, the Great Awakening is pretty much him going along with people's fears that Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation are into human smuggling and pedophilia. Human fears that Hollywood celebrities with all their money are having children murdered in places like China or Haiti, and drinking their blood, adrenochrome, sexual abuse of children, and then having their enemies killed. And it seems like Hollywood is running the show because they are using big name Hollywood movie producers like Weinstein, or actors like Charlie Sheen or Tom Hanks or Lady Gaga, Oprah Winfrey. Doesn't seem to, they're using all of these people in some of these conspiracy theories that they're being targeted by coronavirus as payback for being involved with what they call the Illuminati. But you have to come back to the movie Wag the Dog. Because in that movie, the President of the United States hired a Hollywood movie producer to fake a crisis to make the president look more presidential so he could get reelected. It's Spin City. So, what do you need to know about it all? I would say disconnect from mainstream media, disconnect from politics, because you cannot make any difference on this planet of 7.5 or 8 billion people. Your vote means nothing. So, which means that all the time that you're trying to decide who to vote for is wasted. You waste a hell of a lot of time watching news because you have no influence. It's just a waste of time. Watching professional sports is a waste of time because you can spend so much time following your favorite teams. You know, baseball in the summer, football, hockey, basketball. Cycle returns next year. You waste so much time watching this stuff. You will waste a lot of time sitting, drinking beer, talking about these professional sports people. Why be a fan of them? You're not being paid to be a fan. And what do you get out of it? Nothing. You waste so much time. What should you be doing instead of these things? I would say you should be an avid reader, not fiction, maybe some fiction, but not very much. That was my biggest flaw when I was a child. I read way too much fiction. Why? Because it's like watching television shows, like watching Netflix. It's a waste of time. You don't get educated, really educated. Literature. Literature, like classic stories. You get, if you read those, that would be pretty good, and then leave it. And then the next thing you need to look into is everything that's nonfiction. Everything nonfiction, and you need to read your whole life. And then you've used your time wisely. How about traveling the world? Um, I wouldn't put too much focus on traveling the world because you can travel the world through books. The problem with traveling the world is people tend to go and party when they travel the world. So instead of going to European cities and going to the art galleries and the museums, um, people are more likely to sit outside with a bottle of wine and get blasted. Isn't that what life's about? No, you're on a purgatorial planet. It's purgatory, and you're here to either waste your life. If you waste your life, then you're coming back to a third density planet like Earth to do it all over again because you didn't learn anything. You don't learn anything watching professional sports. You don't learn anything. You got to learn by reading the smartest people who ever lived on the planet. Then you can see through all of the bullshit that's given to the sheeple as entertainment. You can advance your consciousness. And what happens if you advance your consciousness? Well, you should be able to incarnate on a higher density planet and continue your studies. In other words, you don't have to come back to purgatorial planet Earth. You can go someplace else. But you can't go someplace else if you didn't do any real work on yourself. The other thing I always say is spend some time meditating so that you can develop your own internal bullshit detector and you can connect to other beings psychically. No one told me this when I was in high school. So what did I do? I did the same as everybody else. As soon as we had a free minute, we headed to the bar. We gathered up a lot of money. Okay, we're going to go on a road trip. We're going to go on a plane somewhere. As soon as we land wherever we're going to go, we're heading to the bar. What about developing other skills? If you develop other skills, what can you take with you? Your realized state of consciousness. And it appears that, for example, if you studied, let's say, piano your whole life, that you spent an awful lot of time with piano and studying the masters of different kinds of music, you could carry that musical ability to another lifetime. We have to read between the lines, but these musical prodigies, some of these kids that are like 8 years old that can play the violin amazingly. It doesn't seem possible for an average person to get that good that fast, which implies that they learned this stuff in a past life, and they're tapping into their abilities from a past life in this area. Why did they come back to 3D Earth? Well, maybe they weren't well-rounded. Maybe they became really good musically, but they didn't learn about all the other things you could learn on planet Earth. Planet Earth has got so much stuff you can learn yourself. So that's why in the Law of One, they say that higher density beings come back here to a third density planet because there's so much here to learn. And perhaps if you are in a higher density planet and you know your past lives, perhaps you know yourself very well and your personality is stale. You've got a stale personality because you've had lifetime after lifetime knowing what you were doing in the past, and you seem to have the habits that you developed over lifetimes. And the habits are too hard for you to break. So whatever the deal is that you have to go through to incarnate on a third dimensional planet like Earth, you say, I have to do this because I've got whatever is going on with me. I don't have the curiosity of a child. You know how children are. They're so happy to learn things, to experience new things. They're just that wide-eyed look. Everything is wonderful. And I don't think you get that reincarnating on these higher density planets. So the decision is made. I'm going to go to a third, and it doesn't mean that third density is going to be easy. It's very hard here. Everyone knows it. But you get the mind wipe. So you forget who you used to be, and then you come in here and you're a wide awake child. So it's a great benefit. But this is a purgatorial planet, and there are snakes and ladders. And, someone who was at a higher density planet, quite evolved soul, could come here and hit a snake. And maybe they become a drug addict. Or maybe they become a criminal or a corrupt person of anything. There's snakes and there's ladders here. So is it a risk? Well, a lot of people figure that you as a spirit are an immortal spirit and you're going to be alive forever. So what do you do to fill up your years and lifetimes? You have to make it interesting. It's not like, I get 10 lifetimes and then I'm done. It's not like you have one lifetime and I'm done. Being an eternal being, it's a problem. So you got to look around to see, what the hell am I going to do? I mean, some of these Law of One teachings say that if you continue to higher and higher densities, eventually you abandon your personality and you become one with all that is. Maybe that's your path. I'm just reporting all the stuff that I've learned. Is it true? There's many other descriptions of reality and they don't all agree. But I started talking about what's going on with the Great Awakening, the New Age people, in other words, people who do a lot. Well, not all of them. Some are a mixed bag of people, the New Age people, like, is it tarot cards and or is it people that are into gemstones, people that are into meditation, people that are into channeling various other entities psychically, people who are into like really, really into one type of book, like, they're really Course in Miracles people, or they're really Science of Mind people, or they're Scientologist people. But a lot of these people are running a meme that says that Earth is ascending to, instead of being third density, they're going up to maybe fourth density. And I always talk about it on this channel as the late 1960s, the band was called The Fifth Dimension. And their famous song was Up, Up and Away in a Beautiful Balloon and the Age of Aquarius. So the astrology people would say, well, we've left the age of Pisces and we've gone into Aquarius. So we're getting rid of a lot of negativity on the planet. Well, no, we're not. But these people who are working on themselves spiritually may ascend to a higher dimension, which is like going to a higher density. What percentage of the population? Maybe 1%. But these people think that everybody else is coming too. I look around. No, they ain't. But people are becoming more conscious in our day and age than they were 300 years ago, because we have more access to information, good and bad, but we still have access to it. Are we ascending to the fifth dimension? It would be lovely. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Although one commentator I read today said that Earth has moved from third density to fourth density, beginning of fourth density. Other information is Dr. Hawkins, who I was talking about earlier. Dr. Hawkins said that up until 1987, the collective consciousness of humanity was below 200 on the scale of human consciousness, which was a negative. It was negativity. And then in 1987, there was a large group of people who were doing a lot of group meditations. And for the first time, Dr. Hawkins said the first time ever, the calibrated level of consciousness of humanity as a whole jumped above 200 to about 203. And Dr. Hawkins said that if this continues, that humanity, or maybe individual humans, potentially can evolve themselves into a new species. So instead of being Homo sapiens sapiens with a carbon-based body that's primarily water, how can it be carbon-based water? Well, because they call us an organic chemistry. Anything to do with living things on planet Earth, it's organic chemistry, and organic chemistry is defined as being carbon chemistry. Inorganic chemistry is all the other things on the periodic table of the elements. So organic is carbon-based, but it's, what is it, 70% water. But anyway, Dr. Hawkins said, evolving to higher states of consciousness, he said that on the horizon was a new species that he was calling Homo spiritus, in other words, spiritual man. And then I heard another commentator in the past few days, it was Paul Butler. Paul Butler said we are moving to, instead of being Homo sapiens sapiens, Homo luminous. And this gets into the idea that you can evolve into being a being of light, have a light body, rather than, this physical carbon-based body that's full of water. For an example, I don't know if it's a good example or not. No, I'm not going to use it. Okay, so that's basically what it is. And in the end, it's up to each individual to set the intention to go to the bar the whole lifetime and be a barfly, or to be a reader, or to be a musician, or to be someone who's into sports, or to be somebody's mom or somebody's dad primarily for a lifetime, or to be somebody in business, or to be a scientist, or to be an artist or a philosopher. Snakes and ladders. Either you climb or you slide down. Yeah, thank you for watching our video, and please subscribe, and if you want to share this to anybody else, then please go ahead. Tune in later, because I just can't stop talking. I just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.